Do you and your partner feel that you can tell each other anything, like you have a safe space, a place where you could come and share any and everything? Well, that's the conversation we're going to have here today on Marriage Builder Thursday. How you guys doing? This is Ron Simplified Myers, your host. I want to talk about nurturing emotional intimacy and creating a safe space for vulnerability, which is very crucial for building deep and meaningful connections with your partner. Now, there are different ways we could do this. One is you have to practice active and empathetic listening. For most people, this takes a lot of practice because we're so used to, and very few people, like if you watch people, you'll see there's very few people that actually listen. I remember seeing my sister talk with someone once, and they were just sitting there, and she was locked in on this person, just having a conversation. And I was just amazed that she really truly made that person feel like they were the world. Everything they said meant something. And I told her after that, I said, I want to get to that point. I want to get to where you are, to where you really truly care and are empathetic and listening to people. And she's like, boy, you good with people. She said, and I said, I understand that. But my personality, and those that don't know about the four personalities, we talked about that on last Thursday. But my personality is the type that, yes, we're great at making friends, but we have an agenda. It's like, I remember when I used to try to make friends with people and really talk to people, it was because I was really trying to qualify them for my business, whether it was recruiting or helping them to become a client. But it wasn't really about them. It was really more about what I could get out of that. And I didn't really like that part of my personality. I love the fact that I was able to communicate with people, but not the fact that I had an agenda. And that was what I was telling her. That's what I wanted, is that you really, truly care. And then, and if you guys have followed me or know the things that I've talked about, those are the things that I've worked on because those weren't my strong points. And I hope I'm that person today. At least that's the person I try to be very empathetic and caring and listening for people. But in your relationship, this is crucial. And the listening part is the key. I'll share another example. I had a gentleman I came across, and I considered him, even to this day, as one of the greatest communicators I've actually had the opportunity to actually sit with. And it was actually a friend of mine's roommate. We went over there, and you'll know about his story. That is what's going on. It's an old story, but it still holds true. He had asked me, he said, who do you think is the best basketball player in the NBA? And I was like, oh, if you're talking about individuals, it's Michael Jordan. But if you're talking about team players, then it's Magic Johnson. And then he said, well, what do you think about Larry Bird? And I was like, oh, man, Larry Bird is awesome. I mean, he's incredible for a guy that doesn't have the athleticism and that kind of stuff. I said, he will kill you based on his knowledge of the game, understanding the fundamentals. He's incredible. And folks, when I left that room after, from their place, I was like, wow, that guy's good. That guy's incredible. And folks, I wish I had picked up what really happened immediately, because it was probably a couple of years later before it hit me why I thought he was a great communicator. And it was because all he did was listen, and he asked questions. He didn't talk. He let my favorite subject shine, me. And I know some people don't like to hear that when I share that with people, that you are your favorite subject, but you are. I had someone tell me that one time. They said, I'm not, that's not true. My favorite subject is Jesus. And then as we talked a little bit more, and folks, I'm not making fun of people, or to each his own, but they were like, as we talked more, she came back and she was like, you know what I love? When God uses me to minister to people. And I said, interesting. You're not excited just for the message being shared. You get excited more when he uses you. Interesting. See, folks, we are our favorite subject, and there's nothing wrong with that. The reason being, you're the only person that's going to be with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the day you're born to the day you leave here. So you better understand and appreciate and love that particular individual. And again, those are things we really talk about on Self Love Monday, but you got to love you. But here we want to talk about the listening. You got to get good at that. You got to get good at really caring and listening to your partner, because they come from different backgrounds, different perspectives. They're going to see things different. They had different parents, different coaches, and they're going to take in things differently because of that. And so the listening part means be quiet. Just like I told you with the roommate, he didn't talk. He let me talk. And that's the only way you really truly hear people, is by actively listening and not speaking. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But you got to get good at this part. Listening to your partner, not arguing, not trying to prove your point, not trying to defend your point. Listen, because if you don't listen, they will stop sharing and you'll wonder why your relationship is having problems. You also have to learn how to practice non-judging and acceptance. And that's a part of what I'm talking about here, is that not judging them, because again, they do have different people that have spoken to their life and different experiences, that kind of stuff. Quit judging and thinking everyone has to see the world the way you do. One of the things you hear people say all the time is, well, that's just common sense. Folks, it's not. It may be common to you because it's something that has been in your life and something you've been able to see, and it makes sense to you. But don't assume, again, everyone sees the world the way you do, and that's what the non-judgment means. Listen and allow them to share and be able to accept the fact that everyone has the right to their own opinion. You guys have heard me say, my motto is, it ain't right, it ain't wrong, it's my opinion. Because I want people to fully grasp and understand that, is that it is. These are my opinions. Why do you want to attack me? And in some places, people want to do violence to people because they have a different perspective. The key is listen without judging, accept them for where they come from, and let's talk. Both of us could learn a lot from this. And you got to be able to be vulnerable. Now, this one I know for guys, because the world has told us we're not emotional creatures. I always laugh when I hear that. I said, so you know guys that don't get angry, don't get frustrated, don't get, all that good stuff. They said, well, yeah. I said, those are emotions. Quit trying to say guys are not emotional creatures. They go, oh, well, no, we're talking about like crying. I said, do they have tears? They go, well, yeah. Then that means they cry. That's a human. That is human. It's amazing that we're in a society that tries to teach you that crying is weakness and crying is something you don't do. That's garbage. That's a part of being a human being. And I know some people go, well, it does make you weak or whatever. Folks, if I tell you I just lost a loved one, what you'll see people at funerals, you see guys all the time with sunglasses on in a church. What, the sun is too bright for their eyes? We know why. But they're trying to hide from the world their true emotions. To me, I give you more credit when you take the glasses off and tell the world, take me as I am. That to me shows your strength, because if you need to cry, cry. If the world don't like it, who cares? This is about your welfare, your health being. This is not about impressing the rest of the world. And for those of you who think that's a weakness, understand, I know people who the moment that they start to cry is the moment you better beware, because that's when they pretty much have gotten to the point where they go, enough. And that's when they actually become more violent and more apt to, you better beware of them than at any other time. So anyway, but we just want to talk about the fact that you have to be vulnerable, because I was sharing that again with a gentleman, and he was saying, yeah, you don't want to be weak in front of your girl, because if you do that, then she's going to leave you. And I said, well, you understand vulnerability, right? I said, vulnerability is sharing information that could actually be used to destroy you. But the person you're sharing it with is because you're sharing it with them so they can help you, they can support you, they can be there as your helpmate. Who else would you share that with but your partner? And if you go share this with your partner and they make you feel like you're weak because of it, it's the wrong partner. I keep telling people, quit trying to make the wrong people be the right people. If your partner is not there to support you, that ain't the right partner. Get someone else. And I know this again is really tougher because we're talking about marriage, and this is really where we're at with this kind of stuff. What I'm sharing on Marriage Builder, and this is what this podcast is about. So it's a little harder to just go get rid of them. But folks, we got to get that addressed, because if you can't, and I tell guys, think about this. If you can't go, there's times you're going to doubt yourself. There are times you're not going to believe in yourself. There are times you're going to need that support. If I can't go get that from my partner, then what do I need her for? Think about that. And ladies, understand that if he can't come to you, what does he need you for? It's that old saying of everybody is with you when things are going well. I need you, and this is when I need support when things aren't. And if I can't come to you in those times and be vulnerable, then what do I need you for? And I hope, especially since we're talking to married couples, that you take this into and understand why if you haven't been that partner, you need to become that partner. Because this is when they need you the most. And the moment you make them feel weak is the moment they stop sharing and your relationship will start to dissolve. Now, you also have to respect confidentiality. In other words, what I share with you doesn't go beyond you and I. I shouldn't be hearing from your sister, your brother, your cousin, your mama, or somebody else saying, oh, well, I heard such and such. Or we're having a conversation and it comes out and you go, well, the only person that knows that is my partner. So that's the only person that could have told them that. Folks, do not do that. Do not share confidentiality. Once you start putting stuff out there, I use the example of a pyramid, not a pyramid, an iceberg. And I tell people because an iceberg, 10% of that is above water, it's above water, and the 90% is below water. That's what we do in relationships. We give 10%. Which is above water. That's what you give, just enough to make that relationship with that other individual work. The 90% is the intimate stuff. That's the stuff below the water. Everybody doesn't get that. That's what creates intimacy. Whatever information you get below the water, that's what brings us closer together. That's the confidentiality stuff. That's the stuff I shouldn't be hearing from other people or it will destroy the relationship. When you're giving that information, you guard that information. And as we're talking about, make sure you give people space, and by that I'm saying, and be patient, okay? Because you got to allow people to talk. That's one of the reasons we're saying be patient, is because sometimes, and in most cases, if you really watch people, you're not listening, as I said earlier. You're waiting for them to finish so you can give input. No, you got to be patient enough to sit there and actually care and hear them out and ask them the questions like, give them a little feedback, like, is what I'm hearing you say, that kind of, which is very important in a relationship, is giving that feedback. Is this what you're saying? Is this what you meant? This is what I got out of it. Is this what I'm hearing you say? This is how I took what you said. And make sure whenever you're doing those things, this is how I took it. This is how I felt. You notice I'm not saying you did, you said. Don't put it on them because that becomes an attack and people will shut down. Again, we're trying to build this relationship and make it stronger and solid. So again, be patient, give space to those people that, there are people, I had a friend like that if you're having a conversation, he may go quiet on you and don't say anything. But it's because he's taking in all the information. He may not even say anything that day. And he just, when you leave, you just go, wow, okay, I guess he got it or whatever. And then the next day he'll talk to you and he'll say, you know what? I really thought about what you said and this is what I got out. And the reason is he does that because he doesn't want to blurt out stuff that he knows he can't take it back. Folks, you got to remember this. Once it's out there, you can't take it back. You can't cut a person and then go, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. Folks, once you do it, these your words, they cut deep. Once you put it out there, you can't take it back. Be very patient and careful with what you put out there and give that person space if that's what they need. Or if you have a person that, if things are getting heated, take the time. You know what? Let's revisit this. You guys follow me? Revisit it. Do not do it when you're in a highly emotional state where anger is coming up and frustration. If you can't control your emotions, stop the conversation and go, let's revisit this at a different time, because right now I can feel myself getting angry. I can feel myself judging. I can feel myself, and I know we couldn't go anywhere but to a bad place at this point. And give that person that space if they need it. Back off. Quit trying to pursue it. I know people that follow their partner through the house and stuff. Leave them alone. It's not going to do anything but make the situation worse. And not only that, depending on who it is, you're going to scare them from you, thinking that, wow, not only did you're attacking me. And folks, emotional abuse is just as bad, if not worse, than physical abuse. And the reason I say that is because emotional abuse will destroy you physically. So you'll get both sides. And so just validate people's emotions and experience. Give them the opportunity, to validate how they feel, and don't try to make them wrong. This is not about who's right, who's wrong. We're in a relationship, and you're supposed to be my partner, helping me through these experiences, my emotions, as I'm going to help you through your experiences and your emotions. So allow me to feel that. Allow me to say, this is how I took it. This is how I felt. And then work with me as we work together as a team so that we become stronger. And then also practice the emotional attunement. And what that does is mean watch people's nonverbal cues, because sometimes the way their body language, the head drops, they're looking off somewhere else. Folks, you got to recognize that. When you see them looking somewhere else or they staring at their phone, folks, there's nothing more irritating than to be talking to someone and you're sitting there inside your telephone. In this generation, that is so common. And what you have to do when people do that to you is stop talking. And they go, oh, no. Because they will. They'll feedback and go, no, I'm listening to you. Keep going. No, I want you in the conversation. If what you're doing on the phone is that important, then I'll wait for you to finish. You guys follow me? Because I don't want you taking in, folks, you can't, no matter how good you are and you think you are, you're not going to be able to mentally be totally locked in on that conversation and playing on your phone at the same time. It's impossible. You'll grab portions where you say, oh, yeah. But you're not going to be fully engaged. You guys know what I'm talking about. I know there's times you read a book or something and all of a sudden you're in another world and you're like, what was I reading? What happened? And you have to go back to the previous chapter or maybe even start the chapter all over again because you go, man, I was reading, but I didn't get nothing out of that because my mind was somewhere else. That's what we do as human beings. We drift off. So make sure you practice that, watching the body language, watching the tone of voice, how they're coming across. You need to pay attention to your voice and your body language. How are you coming across? Are you leaning towards them? Are you looking them in their eyes? And again, when you look people in their eyes, just know who you're dealing with. Some people believe looking in a person's eyes is rude. That's a conversation in itself between you and your partner. Is that rude or is that attentiveness? And if you're a person, I can't just stare you in the eyes, I'm going to keep looking back at you. But what's a way to make it comfortable so that you know I'm involved? And the best way to know that you're involved is they know that you're not looking at other stuff and your attention is somewhere else, even if you're not staring them in the eyes. But practice these things, folks. If you build this emotional intimacy, your relationship is going to blossom. Go back and listen to this particular podcast over and over again and practice the different things that I'm saying, because I'm telling you, this is the way you nurture emotional intimacy inside of your relationship, and it's the only way you're going to get the greatest relationship possible. We got to be able to be vulnerable to our partner. We got to be able to understand where they're coming from. I didn't say agree. This is one of the things where people misinterpret what I said, and when I tell people you can accept anything. I didn't say agree. I don't have to agree with nothing you're doing in your life and can still accept the fact that you are another human being, have the right to your own opinion, you have the right to your own views, you have the right to run out your life. This is your journey. You have that right. I don't have to agree. I can accept it, and some people misinterpret acceptance as to mean agreement. No, acceptance means just that. Because acceptance just saying it is what it is. I hope you guys get that. Acceptance just means it is what it is. Agreeing means I agree with you. I can't accept and not agree. I accept again that this is your journey, your ride, run it. Enjoy yourself. I just ain't gonna hang out with you because I don't agree. Now again, we're talking marriage, so we need to work through these things. We need to have that safe space where we can come and talk, being empathetic, being involved in the conversation. It's not a one way, and not judging. Folks, do this, and I'm telling you, you will watch your relationship change in the moment. The moment you're showing your partner how much they mean to you, and I try to especially get this across to younger couples, younger guys especially, your partner just wants to know that they're the most important thing to you. And if you can share and be open and do the things we just talked about in this particular podcast, if you do those things, you're letting them know how important they are and how significant they are to you. When you do that, trust me, they're going to reciprocate. They're going to give it back to you. And you're going to watch an incredible relationship that you didn't even know was possible. So as you guys know, it ain't right. It ain't wrong. It is my opinion. Take the time, build the intimacy within your relationship, and I'll look forward to talking to you guys on Self Love Monday. Take care. And again, remember, if you're not having fun, you should be doing something else. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.